Herzlich willkommen, meine Freunde, zu Hanovi Global Network, dem besten in Verantwortlichkeit, Klarheit und Wahrheit. Arroganz wird dich zu Fall bringen, aber ein weiser Mann hört auf weise Ratschläge. Yes, arrogance will bring a man down, but a wise man attains to wise counsel. Now Clozier heads in the right direction. Coming up, we'll explain. Congratulations. You guys finally heeded some advice. Finally. Better late, extremely late than never. But hopefully you would have learned your painful lesson and the consequences of not paying attention, not listening to the words of wisdom, not listening to good advice, and going forward, just maybe you would give up arrogance and pride and learn to take advice from people who probably truly care about you instead of all these emotional punks who get in the way of progress. And yes, all you people who were chanting me down and trying to be disrespectful when I was trying to do my civic duty and help the administration when they were making some horrible mistakes at Clozier. Now, what do you got to say for yourself? You people are sometimes the enemy of progress, and you get all emotional and fanatical and think that you're helping the administration, but you people do more harm than good. You do more harm than good. Now take a look at this. Finally, there's a little bit of intellectual honesty, and finally, somebody must have listened to all that I have said.
Topographical survey and geotechnical soil testing findings solidify work at the Clozier retaining wall project in St. John.
So there you have it. And if you look at the program, when I went on Jenny Simon's program, and I would like to thank Jenny Simon for the work she is doing and has done, because she was the one that brought major awareness to this when she brought me on her program. So this woman is doing partly her civic duty. And I explained that the first thing that should have been done on this Clozier project would have been a topographical survey and a thorough boring site investigation. Okay? Soil boring site investigation. And finally, that was done. Unfortunately, it was the carriage before the horse. But at least finally it's done.
In July, a portion of the Clozier Road collapsed during construction of a retaining wall, deeming it impassable. The road was closed and construction work immediately commenced. The Ministry of Infrastructure contracted senior consultant and civil engineer Dr. Timothy Bob, who conducted various assessments on the area, including a topographical drone survey to determine the extent of the soil movement and also a soil test to determine the soil strata. On Tuesday, GIS visited the project site with a few of the technical officials and engineers. Dr. Bob explained what was done since the collapse of the road to present.
The settlement would have been as a result of consolidation, which is what happens when you have clay material or soil with water in it, because the area was saturated, on which a load is placed or from which water is removed. As the water comes out, the soil, the solid material reconstitute or reconfigure themselves with the void that is left by the water, and that causes settlement, which we call consolidation settlements. I returned to the site about 4 days after, and within that time I noticed that there was a drop in the ground of between a foot and 24 inches.
So he talks about soil consolidation here, but this was not consolidation. This was absolutely and totally soil failure. That is why you saw that 45-degree angle of soil failure. And of course, he corrected himself. So the whole soil consolidation thing was not really necessary. It was soil failure.
Between 1 to 2 feet. Now, consolidation settlement is a slow process. You're talking about settling probably inches in a year and not feet in a matter of weeks.
Exactly. So anyone that came to that site and saw the typical mode of soil failure, 45-degree angle, would have known immediately. There's no consolidation. This is total soil failure. Again, as he said, consolidation happens over a period of time. Like you have a building on clay and it would settle and stuff like that. But this was absolute soil failure. But of course, he corrected himself.
So once I saw that, I realized what was happening here was beyond consolidation.
Upon completion of the survey, it was concluded that work to construct the retaining wall was obstructed because the soil was moving.
It turned out from my further study of the area that what was actually happening here is that you have a large deposit of clay on a hard material, and the area is saturated with groundwater. So what really happened here is, what I surmised was that as the excavation was being done for the wall, the water lubricated the hard material and the clay was sliding down on it. As the clay slid down, which is the hillside, the work to construct the retaining wall would have been obstructed by the soil coming down.
Dr. Bob outlined the remedial steps he recommended to the ministry and government.
So there you have it. And I have said over and over and over on the Bob report and on Jenny's report and on all the videos that I made personally on Honovi Global Network, that with the excavation, if you excavate, you have to provide temporary shoring. So here he talks, at least he's being honest, that with the excavation, that caused the soil to erode and fail and disturb the actual continuation of building the permanent retaining wall. He'll go a little further and then we'll get to the point.
I advise the ministry that we need to do shoring there. So what we opted for, because we'd have had a lot of pressure on that material to retain the soil, we went for some large mass concrete blocks, which are quite heavy.
So there you have it. There you have it. Finally, somebody understood. Somebody is making sense. And I'm glad. More than likely, I'm happy. They finally got the message. And that's why he said he needed shoring. Okay? And that is something I explained thoroughly. If you want to look at the videos, go back to Jenny's videos and go back to the Bob report where I spoke extensively about this. If you're building a retaining wall, the permanent retaining wall, in the meantime, you have to support the soil that is not being supported. Period. So there it is. He talks about shoring. And just imagine, I wasn't on the ground. I didn't have to be on the ground. And I could have stayed from miles upon miles away and actually talk about this and was spot on. And this obviously was not done. So as I said in previous videos, proper means and methods were not implemented during construction. And he talks about, we call that a gravity wall. The heavy blocks, he created a gravity wall, a temporary gravity wall. But in this case, they don't remove the blocks after they're finished. They keep it in place. Hopefully they will, right? So that adds an additional safety factor. So that's what it is. You need a temporary shoring during construction. If that was done, vehicles could have smoothly passed through the area without a problem.
We use those to retain the cut area so that the retaining wall construction can proceed. That has worked perfectly, and the retaining wall construction has continued. So what really happened here was simply movement of the soil because of the excavation which was being done on the lower end.
Well, it took a very long time for people to finally become intellectually honest. And that is what I said on the Bub report. If you have a problem, for you to come up with reasonable solutions, you have to be intellectually honest. This man is finally being intellectually honest. And I understand because of the politics and the implications, no one wanted to be intellectually honest. But you cannot arrive at a reasonable solution if you're not being intellectually honest.
That has been sorted, and so the construction is continuing as we speak.
Chief Technical Officer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Kevin Blash, is satisfied with the survey and its findings. He is optimistic that work will continue according to schedule without major setbacks.
All of this information would allow us to now recalibrate and come up with the ideal design solution for the area, which is
and that is significant, and that is what I said. How do you build the wall or design the wall without that required fundamental information? So it's good. Now they're going to recalibrate. Now that they have the proper information, they can chart a path forward that be more secure and safe. So if that is the case, one thing I'm concerned about now is that they should be able to make a very simple, passable path for the kids. What is the problem now? If you believe that your temporary shoring is effective, then there's no reason why you cannot cut a temporary path, more passable path for the kids. That should be able to be easily done. So it makes me wonder now, what's going on with this? What is this about?
which is current, well, part of which is currently ongoing. So on site today, you would notice that the contractors are progressing well. They are currently backfilling the retaining walls that would have been constructed in the area. Mr. Bob would have also introduced a sacrificial concrete retaining wall to provide additional lateral support as a temporary shoring.
Now there you have it. Temporary shoring. A phrase that I use consistently throughout the program on Jenny Simon and the Bob Report. Unfortunately, that was not done during the initial construction. If that was done, the whole administration of this project would have gone smoothly, and a lot of headache and problems that resulted for the administration and, more importantly, for the people of Clozier would have been avoided if someone just had listened to what I said. And I don't care about me saying it. Somebody else could have said it, but no one did. I did. And the thing about it, you guys talking about service the country and you love your country so much, and yeah, we love the NDC. You love the NDC so much, and none of you guys said anything while you saw what was taking place at Clozier. Something that could have been avoided, but you love them so much. You guys are a bunch of hypocrites. That is what you are. But you like to sing and dance and whine and joke and say, oh, I love the NDC, and get all emotional and act erratic and crazy. Literally, you bitches act crazy. You understand? Just to sing and get all emotional. Oh, we love the NDC. If you love the NDC, you'd have been honest about this. And you would have held people accountable for this so that this could have been fixed in a more timely manner. But it's important when you're approaching such a complex situation that you be careful and you listen to the people who may know a little bit more than you may know.
To the construction of the wall ongoing. That would have enabled the to stymie the movement of the soil downslope, and it would have also created a safe working environment for the contractor.
Again, that was something that I thoroughly addressed, a safe working condition for the contractor and the constructors. And still, this is not over yet. I believe that that house and that slope on that side should still be constantly monitored. And there are also a little technical instrument that you can use to check the level of settlements. They know about it. So I think these sort of things should be actually put in place on site so you can monitor movement and settlement of soil slopes. But particularly, they still should be very careful where that house is located and constantly monitor it during construction.
And his employees in installing the retaining wall. Today, the ministry is confident in the proposed solution. Something that we've additionally done is engage the services of Dr. Derge, who is a geotechnical engineer.
Again, and there you have it. This is something that I thoroughly spoke about from the inception. I said this type of job requires geotechnical, geostructural engineers. And thank goodness, now they have Dr. Derek Gill, a geotech guy, so he knows about foundations. All right, so this is good. They finally have the right person and personnel on board to get the work done. If they're what their weight in gold, then guess what? This will proceed smoothly. Again, as I had said, you can't get a building structural guy or a general civil guy to work in a specific geostructural or geotechnical applied situation. So good. We're getting places.
With years of experience, who would also provide some additional technical support to us, just to ensure that we are on track.
So, congratulations. You guys did it. It's not finished yet, but you guys are on the right path. But, more importantly, and seriously, for all you punks who were disrespectful and who actually do more harm than good and were trying to get into the way of me doing my civic duty in some respects and trying to help the administration and actually showing some love to the administration, and you batchers tried to get into the way of that and trying to fight me down for doing good. You know what? I probably love this administration more than you batchers do. But more importantly, what is significant is that you learn from the mistakes on this project. So going forward, you don't repeat those mistakes. Now you have a kind of formula of what you need and who you need on projects of that nature. So now if you're successful in doing this, you can repeat the model going forward. And a warning to you arrogant, emotional punks who think you're doing something good by being emotional and sensational and ignorant when real people are trying to do real things. Guess what? You are doing more harm than good. You are doing more harm than good to this administration. So quit your nonsense.